If you're a filmmaker looking to cast someone as a weirdo, you can't do much better than Nicolas Cage. Over the years, Nic Cage has perfected the art of the oddball. If you need an actor to do something bizarre in your movie, you call Cage. Sometimes it means stealing a bike at gunpoint. Sometimes it means wearing a bear suit while punching a woman. Sometimes it means screaming in absolute agony while being swarmed by CGI bees. And sometimes it even means not just using examples from the 2006 film The Wicker Man. But as weird as his on-screen performances can get, it can be argued that Cage's real life is just as bizarre. This is a man who ate a live cockroach during the filming of Vampire's Kiss. A man who spent the night in Dracula's castle just to feel its energy. A man who was the victim of a stalking perpetrated by a mime. And a man who filled his need for companionship by buying himself some cobras. Not cobra, cobras, plural. But as eccentric as all that was, none of those stories truly compare to the time he spent $276,000 on a dinosaur skull, only to find out years later that it was stolen. Today on Pop Culture Hyper Fixations, we're taking a look at the tale of Nic Cage and the stolen Mongolian dinosaur skull.
So, some people do dig them up and sell them to commercial collectors, but, it's illegal. I mean, if they get caught, bad things can happen to them as well.
The year is 2007 and Nic Cage was on top of the world. His latest film, Ghost Rider, was a box office success, and he had fully entrenched himself as an A-list Hollywood star. Cage was making a lot of money, and he was not shy to spend it. He developed a reputation for extravagant purchases of everything from cars to comic books. Still, on March 25th, Cage made a purchase even crazy by his standards at the I Am Chait auction gallery. The gallery was having its first auction that dealt exclusively in natural history, and the piece de resistance was a fossilized dinosaur skull. Now, while Cage didn't attend the auction in person, he did bid anonymously over the phone, as did another buyer, which led to a legitimate bidding war breaking out until Cage finally prevailed to the tune of $276,000. Cage's identity as the buyer was not revealed till years later, and neither was the identity of the mystery bidder. But since then, it's been revealed that the mystery bidder was actually, of all people, Leonardo DiCaprio, which is shocking, because I didn't think DiCaprio was interested in anything older than 24. While in later years, it was reported that Cage had purchased a Tyrannosaurus skull, that's not really true. What he actually purchased was the skull of a dinosaur known as Tarbosaurus batar. Now, if you're expecting a detailed breakdown of the differences between Tyrannosaurus and Tarbosaurus, look elsewhere. My dinosaur knowledge begins and ends at long necks, never play with three horns. Plus, paleontology is such an evolving field that odds are any info I give you will be inaccurate later on anyways. When I was a kid, they told me Brontosaurus was real. And then when I grew up, they told me it wasn't real. And now, I just found out during research for this video that the Brontosaurus is back.
Snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap!
Based on present knowledge, I think it's safe to say Tarbosaurus and Tyrannosaurus are similar, but the Tarbosaurus was a little bit smaller. Another important key difference in identifying the two dinosaurs concerns the location of their bones. Tyrannosaurus fossils have been found exclusively in North America, while the Tarbosaurus has only been found in Mongolia and China. Why is it so important that the Tarbosaurus skull Nic Cage bought came from Mongolia? It's because taking fossils from Mongolia is a crime.
Hey, I know that now, okay?
Don't yell at me!
You see, while in the United States, we have a far more open-ended policy when it comes to the ownership of fossils, the Mongolian policy is pretty clear-cut. All fossils found in Mongolia belong to Mongolia, and there have been a lot of magnificent fossils found there. The massive Gobi Desert is a treasure trove of hidden fossils, and paleontologists all around the world have traveled there in search of new discoveries. I wish I could say just scientists showed up, but opportunists also began to arrive. Fossil theft became a major problem in the Gobi. Due to the sheer size of the desert, it's nearly impossible to keep every discovery protected. There was just too much land and not enough manpower. As a result, a black market developed. Having a fossil was rare already, but having a fossil of a dinosaur only found in Mongolia was a huge step up, and the black market thrived. Thieves stole the fossils and shipped them to middlemen, who then snuck them through customs and sold them to dealers, who then sold them to clients, and so on and so forth. And that is how a man named Erik Prokopi enters our story. Prokopi was a dinosaur fanatic who had built up a small business selling fossils he had found or acquired in the United States. But as his business grew, Erik continuously wanted more. Finally, after making contacts in the previously mentioned black market, Prokopi was able to acquire a Tarbosaurus skull and get it to auction. In case you haven't figured it out, that was the same skull that Nic Cage outbid Leonardo DiCaprio for. Don't feel too bad that Leo missed out though, as he was able to get Erik to procure another dinosaur skull for him.
Look what I found in my pocket! Look! A year's salary right here! What I call them? Fun coupons!
Prokopi was now making serious bank off the Mongolian dinosaurs. The Cage skull alone had netted him $100,000. His next move would be his boldest yet, as rather than acquiring just a skull, he acquired a full Tarbosaurus skeleton. Heritage Auctions agreed to sell the item, and Erik thought he had it made. What he didn't know was that what he had made was a costly error. Now, Mongolia had long been aware of the fossil black market, but had so far been unable to make a dent in stopping it. However, the news of Prokopi's auction was a step too far. It was such a brazen violation of Mongolian law that the outrage of paleontologists and scientists easily galvanized the Mongolian government to take action and put a stop to it. Now, technically, the skeleton did sell at the auction for over $1 million, but the Mongolian government was able to get an injunction to stop a transfer of ownership. Prokopi argued that he did nothing wrong, but he was still arrested on charges of smuggling illegal goods. He went to trial, and in the record books, the court case is titled, and I'm not kidding you, United States vs. one Tyrannosaurus Patar skeleton, which sounds like an asylum film. I'm going to skip over some of the details about the trial here, but if you want to learn more about Erik Prokopi and the court case, I highly recommend a book by author Paige Williams I used for research titled The Dinosaur Artist, not to be confused with the book The Disaster Artist, which is about a man whose origins are far more mysterious than the dinosaurs.
Street Fashions has the best prices, the best quality, and the best selection of Levi's jeans anywhere. Be who you want to be in Levi's jeans from Street Fashions.
To avoid a longer sentence, Prokopi agreed to a plea deal in which he officially rescinded his claims to ownership of the skeleton. He also turned over information regarding the black market to the US government, and thus began a dedicated campaign by the United States Homeland Security Department to help Mongolia retrieve their stolen fossils. It was actually former US Attorney Preet Bharara who led the charge in helping Mongolia reclaim their lost dinos, and in 2015 that led him to the home of Nic Cage. Now, I want to be clear, Cage had no way of knowing the dinosaur skull was stolen. The auction house he bought it from had assured him everything was on the up and up. After testing was done to confirm its Mongolian origins, Bharara issued a civil forfeiture complaint, but Cage said screw it and just gave it back himself. News of the skull's initial purchase was secret, but news of its return was everywhere. By this point, Cage's career was in a downswing, and his financials were even worse. His fortune had dwindled considerably after a combination of reckless spending, unpaid taxes, and the 2008 market crash. He was reduced to blatantly taking jobs just for the paycheck, and had become the butt of jokes. When news of his extravagant purchase gone wrong went public, people used it as just another excuse to make fun of him. To his credit, Cage has never shied away from what happened, and in recent years has told his own side of the story.
TIL, that Nicolas Cage spent $150 million on a 70-million-year-old dinosaur skull. There's the skull I bought at an auction, and I bought it legally. Here's the MacGuffin. When the Mongolian government said that they needed it back, I gave it to them, but I never got my money back. So somebody at the auction house should be in jail.
In the years since the dinosaur scandal, fortunes have changed for nearly all parties involved. Prokopi served 3 months in jail. Bharara is no longer a US attorney after a run-in with former President Donald Trump. Leonardo DiCaprio? Nope, he's still sleeping with 22-year-olds. Mongolia's taken back what was rightfully theirs and put it to good use. The campaign to reclaim the fossils was successful, and now you can see the Tarbosaurus skeleton back where he belongs, inside a Mongolian museum. As for Nic Cage, after a few rough years, he has made a return to form. While he's not an A-list star anymore, he's working again, and earning praise for his performances. Like the Tarbosaurus, he is back where he belongs. Except Cage doesn't belong in Mongolia. He belongs on the big screen, playing absolute weirdos. Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, well, hit the like button. If you want to see more, well, hit subscribe. And in the comments below, leave me your favorite dinosaur or your favorite Nic Cage movie, or preferably a combo of both.